Hello everyone, welcome back to Renegade Expedition. On today's episode, we're going to be taking Athena Rex 1 out for a solo trip. We're going to be doing a full review, making sure everything on her is working the way we would like for it to work. We'll give you guys a nice good breakdown of everything we've done to her. We're also going to go ahead and give you all a nice breakdown of the camp trailer that we have, because she's one who primarily tows that trailer.
What's going on, guys? So we finally got everything settled. It took us a while to get out of the house. We thought everything was squared away, but it wasn't. We ended up having an electrical issue with the trailer, and we also just finished checking all the fluids and all that stuff. So we're headed to Oxford Ranch right now. Hopefully we can get in by maybe 3 a.m., get some good, decent sleep in a little bit tomorrow morning, and hopefully wake up refreshed. So we'll follow up with you guys here soon. Thank you. How's that?
After fueling, it was time to cover some ground. Our next fuel stop was in Hamilton, Texas at about 1:50 a.m. Alan and I were happy that we needed fuel because it gave us a chance to get out and stretch our legs a little bit. When driving late at night, it's very important to listen to your body, as fatigue driving can be extremely dangerous for you and those around you. Oxford Campgrounds is located in Llano, Texas. There is very little light pollution where we were heading, so it was almost pitch black outside. Since we were arriving so late, we decided to turn the headlights off and only run the amber fog lights so we wouldn't disturb the other campers. Good morning. So we got into camp last night about 4 a.m. By the time we got here, it was obviously 4 a.m. It's extremely late. We were very tired. So we went ahead and just set up camp real quick, made us a quick bite to eat, and then we went to bed. Now, since we were so focused on setting up camp, we didn't get to record too much for you guys. But today we got a great adventure planned. We're going to go visit the Texas Hill Country Tour route, and then we're going to give you guys a nice walk around of Athena, tell you what we liked about the trip coming down, what we didn't like, what we need to change before our Big Bend trip, and just relax a little bit. That's what these trips are all about, just making sure we can kind of soak up the nature and enjoy ourselves. So we're currently driving on the Texas Hill Country Tour route, and we just wanted to take a quick moment to talk about Athena's suspension mods and a couple of the other mods that we've done to her. And for that, I'm going to let Alan do most of the talking. He's the one who planned the build. And
what we're currently running in Athena is the iBot Pro springs as far as suspension goes. We're running those because they offer, or they provide, like about a 1-inch lift, which to us it's more for the load carrying capacity. Although it doesn't increase the actual load, what it does is it helps when you add on a lot of armor, such as bumpers, skid plates, and all that good stuff. It just helps whenever you load the Jeep down, also with camping gear, or for example, for us, we also have our trailer that we're towing, and it's a little complicated, guys. So what we actually ended up doing in the rear is we still have the Bilstein 5100 shocks because of the 1-inch lift. Although the springs and the shocks don't necessarily work in perfect unison the way that we would like them to. that extra 1 inch of lift actually helps us compensate for the weight of towing the trailer. If it wasn't for that, you would see a lot more sag in the rear, just because the rear tire carrier bumper is quite heavy. So in the front, we're actually running the factory shocks with the iBox springs. On top of that, we also have the Avid 1.5 inch lift with Valkyrie leveling spacers. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, it being a little complex. And all that we perfectly tuned to carry and handle the load while we're on a trip. So that way we're not bottoming out in every instance, and then every time we hit a bump or a little dip. And it does surprisingly well. We've also disconnected the sway bars, so at the same time we're not getting a lot of jarring effect, and the suspension is free to move independently of itself without it being connected via the sway bar, which in turn it makes for an incredibly soft ride along with the tires. So we actually went down to a 16-inch wheel so we could get more sidewall, and the tire size that we went with was 245/75 R16, which equates to roughly a 31-inch tire. We had to make a lot of clearance in the fender well and in the firewall to clear this tire, and even then we still have a little bit of rub. So we definitely recommend that if you know what you're doing and you're experienced, this tire is somewhat of a viable option, as long as you also understand that you're going to sacrifice a lot of power. But all that working together makes for an incredibly soft and very controlled ride, especially when going through these dirt roads like we are now.
I'm driving over washboard right now and barely feel it, really. Yeah. Thanks, Alan, for going over some of the suspension components that you've done to Athena. We're going to finish up running this tour trail, and then we're going to head back to camp, and we'll give you guys a little bit better in-depth look at what all we've done to Athena and what makes this an expedition-ready vehicle.
Okay guys, so we made it back to camp. We figured it'd be best to go ahead and do a walk around, a proper walk around of the rig. So we're gonna go ahead and start from the front to back. I'll go ahead and start with the bumper. So right off the bat, we have the Avid Wyoming bumper. We went with this because of the bull bar. It just offers great protection when you're going off-road, and also when you're going through the highway and there's chances of deer strike and things like that. We just want the radiator to be as protected as possible. In the bumper we have the Warn VR8S winch. Great winch, pretty lightweight for what it is. We went with an 8,000 pound winch just because we didn't think that we needed something too heavy duty. And then to top that off, we put the Factor 55 E-Link on there so we can still attach it to tow hooks, but we can also still use it in conjunction with D-shackles. We did modify the bumper itself to allow more airflow. The biggest issue with this bumper is that it blocks a ton of the airflow to the lower part of the radiator, so we opened up some vents, and then we also have a custom shroud on the very bottom of the bumper, which we'll show you guys here in a bit. For the lighting, we did have the factory 3-inch fog lights. We did go with some Baja S2s for the bottom, and then we also, for ditch lights, we have the Baja Squadron Sports, which work amazingly in the amber color. On the hood, we have the Valkyrie hood vents. We figured it'd be best to just get as much cooling as possible through the entire engine bay, especially now that we're also running the Modern Performance MPX headers. So over here, guys, we're running the Avid Desert Snorkel. It's more of a raised intake than anything else. A lot of people have the misconception that this is for river river crossings and all that type of thing, but Really, it's just for better airflow into the engine, as well as it's just a little bit higher up so that a lot of the dust that you're picking up when you're going off-road or you're with a convoy of vehicles, a lot of the dust kind of goes underneath this, so you're getting clean air into the intake. Now on the sides, we are running these little LED side marker lights that we got off Amazon. They're just a little cool little touch that we gave to the Jeep. We really like it. On the side of the bumper as well, we have some marker lights, just because we like the look of that. There's really no special function or purpose behind it. It's just really cool to have. So we've got a lot of questions about our paint job that we have on this Renegade. It's not a wrap, but all it is a bed liner spray that we coated the entire Jeep in. Over time, we kept getting a lot of pinstripes going through forest roads. So what we did was we took the plunge and we decided to invest in this coating. So this coating is nice because it's scratch resistant. You can hear it. It's very rough. It's very texturized. It's really hard to damage unless you get into an accident or you impact it somehow. We do have some impacts in the car after the paint coating was applied, and it only chipped in the impacted areas. It didn't crack or anything like that with the dents. So it's very flexible. So on the driver's side, guys, we are running the Rome Adventure 270 awning. It's a great little awning. It's not as heavy duty as the others on the market, such as 23-Zeros, Peregrine, or the Darchi. The Darchi 270 awning. Those are very heavy duty and provide a lot, or actually have a lot of weight to them. So moving along, guys, to the center, we are running the Daystar Ultimate Rock Sliders. They're a solid option, you guys, because they're really low profile, which could be a con as well, because we can't really step on them like you can with the rocky roads, but they do offer a ton of protection. They completely encase the pinch seam, protecting it from any impact or damage. So we get a lot of questions about a roof rack, you guys. More specifically, like, where can I buy one? What kind is it? Who makes it? And the answer is, it's a custom one-off. I was able to fabricate it in my garage using thin gauge steel pipes, and I just spray painted it black, guys. There's nothing really special about it. On top of the rack, we do have a rifle case, and it's carrying all of our recovery gear. It actually serves its purpose, and it's also very low profile, so we do not see any miles per gallon drop whenever it's up there, and it doesn't make any wind noise whatsoever, which is the whole point of keeping it low profile. So for skid plates, you guys, we are running the factory Trailhawk skid plate in the front. Great skid plate, really heavy duty. There's really no reason to upgrade or change it in any way, shape, or form. So the carrier bearing skid plate that we're running is not the Trailhawk one, guys. We did upgrade to the Valkyrie off-road gear skid plate, and we also have their differential skid plate, which we've kind of color matched the front one. So this is a great shot of the rear bumper, guys. We did go with the Avid Essentials Expedition Tire Carrier bumper. Really, there's not a lot to go over other than we did modify it to carry a fuel Rotopax, and also a water one, just to give us some more range and to allow us to carry more water when we're on the trail. We also put our Midland antenna on there as well for our GMRS radio that we're running. We also ended up relocating our rear camera to the spoiler, guys. It was a fairly simple process, but it was just very time consuming, but very worth it. We still have full range of view when it comes to the rear. We still are able to utilize the guidelines that the Jeep offers with that camera. On the driver's side of the bumper, we do have an Arb Air Fitting. Very briefly touching on the Onboard Air System. It is an Arb single tube compressor, and we've actually relocated the air fitting to the outside of the bumper, so that way we never have to open up the rear or the hood to access that fitting, which makes things a little bit more efficient when airing up tires. So I briefly want to touch on this, guys. Because of all the weight we've added, because of the bigger tires, because we're towing a trailer, we actually invested in power mods. We did We opted to go for clean, raw power rather than tuning, because although there are tuning options on the market, as far as we know, there's only one currently. We wanted to put on bolt-on mods to the actual engine that could make it run a little bit more efficiently. We decided to go with the Modern Performance 2.4 headers. This was somewhat of a headache, guys, because we kind of underestimated how sensitive the O2 sensor system was, and have since struggled trying to eliminate engine lights and codes due to the O2 sensors. So we're still kind of fighting that and fine-tuning that in a way. This is one of those things that we're going to have to really address before our Big Bend trip. So part of this shakedown was seeing where we were at with that, and we still have a little bit of work to do trying to troubleshoot that. We also have a lightweight crank pulley on the pulley system, and that kind of helped with the acceleration and pickup. Not so much power, but just throttle response. So on top of the Modern Performance headers and the lightweight pulley that they offer, we complemented that with the Madness Go pedal and the Auto Flash that basically remaps the transmission for better shift points. And it has made a world of difference when towing the trailer. Just because we get a little bit more torque, peak torque when towing the trailer, and that helps a lot over the course of long trips. For power, we do have a bunch of 12-volt accessories, such as the air compressor and as well as the refrigerator, guys. And what we did was we upgraded the battery. Instead of going with a dual battery system or a solar battery system, we wanted something a little bit more simple, because when you're out here in the middle of nowhere, simple is better when you have something go wrong. So what we did is we just got the best battery we could possibly get inside of the Jeep, and that was the Odyssey Group 48 battery that they offer. So we thought it'd be a cool idea to give you guys somewhat of a walk around of our trailer. This is somewhat of a part of Athena's loadout or setup, so it kind of makes sense to go ahead and do a proper walk around of this little trailer for you guys. So let's begin. So starting off from the front, you guys, the whole construction of the trailer was just square tubing, and it's just variation in sizes of square tubing. I tried to make it as simple as possible to build, because I am by no means a welder or a fabricator. This is something that I've always wanted to do, and I just kind of pieced it together based on my skill set, and I learned a lot in the process. So right off over here, we just have a plastic polymer tongue box. It's great little storage area for us. I did put a little bottle opener on this side. I have a jerry can mount that I kind of bolted to the trailer itself, so I can just go in and unbolt it if I ever needed to. The material for the sides or for the walls, I just got some diamond plate aluminum, and I used the rest to make the fenders. And again, I just started off with square tubing going all the way down, and I just made sure all my angles were good, and then I just covered it with self-tappers. Nothing complicated. I wanted to keep it, again, sweet and simple so we can get out and use it. The little roof rack that I made for the trailer is detachable via these mounts that I made as well. And you can also see our quick fist mount holding up our axe. This thing does so well carrying our rooftop tent. As you can see over here, I did weld some recovery points for the trailer in case we ever flip or in case we need to get pulled. I don't know if they're rated. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but it holds up and it works the way it's intended to work. Supporting the trailer are just these little stabilizing jacks. They actually fold up underneath the entire thing. And then we did just recently switch out these trailer lights. We used to have like some round ones, but we figured these might provide us with a little bit more visibility from a distance. And then, as you guys already know, we are running the 23-0 Walkabout 62 rooftop tent on top of the trailer, and it fits it well. It's not perfect. There is overhang, but for the most part, tent is properly supported on top of the rack, which is awesome. So overall, guys, this trailer weighs dry with the tent, weighs about 600 pounds, Once we load it down, we get into about the 875 pound range, which is not bad. Underneath, guys, I also added some shocks to kind of give us a little bit more stabilization off-road. These are just Amazon shocks I was able to find. They are meant for trailers, so they're super small, and I just configured them to the trailer as best I could. Okay guys, so now that we've taken Athena out and we're all driving on our way back to DFW, we thought it'd be a really good idea to kind of summarize the entire trip for you guys and give you guys our opinion on this build and where it sits as far as getting ready for our Big Bend trip here in a few months. So what we found was, although Athena's in a great shape to be towing and to be used for the purposes that we've been using her for, it's very stressful on the drivetrain. So what we've been playing around with now, because we have more capable rigs, is probably using the ZR2 for towing rather than the Jeep, only because it's geared more towards towing than the Jeep is. And like I said, don't get me wrong, this thing can handle it. It can. The trailer is light enough that it doesn't really hinder performance off-road. It doesn't really rob too much power on-road, but it's good. It just, there's no need to put that strain on the drivetrain every time we want to go on a trip. So we would rather save that task for the truck rather than putting that stress on the Jeep. So some of the things that we did like, however, was the suspension. The suspension on Athena is extremely smooth for dirt roads. It really comes alive when we hit national forest roads because it can handle those washboard roads with ease.
Another thing that we found that we're really liking is our current lighting setup with the Baja Design ditch lights and the Baja Design fog lights, along with the factory HIDs. Lighting is not an issue at night with this. Each rig is going to have its own place in the group. They all don't have to be set up to do everything on its own. As far as each rig has to be able to support a whole group, no. Instead, the Bison would be good for hauling some of the heavier stuff, doing the towing. We can use one of the rigs for more of our kitchen setup. Yep. Our galley, things like that. Another rig could be more focused towards power, electricity, things like that, between solar generators, things like that. And then they all can split some of the lighter loads to even distribute out the way, so one isn't being overworked compared to the others. Yep. And it's going to be a lot about balance, and I think that's going to go a long ways. This trip really showed us what the strengths are for Athena, and though it doesn't have many weaknesses, it does, so we know how to make adjustments for that. Over the next couple of videos, we get to take Arctic out and Rex out to see what their strengths are going to be, and we'll be able to fine-tune everything so we know exactly what to put on each rig for this week-long trip out to Big Bend.
So thank you guys so much for joining us on this trip. We hope you learned a lot from our walk around as well as our shakedown run with Athena. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're going to be continuing to pump out some of these shakedown videos. So I think we've pretty much have decided that we're going to use Athena for a meal galley, so that way we don't have to, like Andy was saying, put too much stress on the vehicles or have the same things in all vehicles. Each one of us, we're all going to be sticking together in a convoy, so they're going to be complementing each other the best way they can. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Stay tuned for the next video. Take care.